So I think we need to talk about stress or pressure or something.
Okay.
I think that's what the episode's going to be about, based on what you were just talking about for
What
the
about
last
gratitude?
I don't know if that's like you were fighting to talk about gratitude. So it's probably going to be like maybe 15 minutes about gratitude and like you kind of struggling around gratitude. And then it's going to be like 20 minutes about what you were just talking about.
Well, okay. Yeah. So I think we're going to try and get back into it.
What does that mean?
Here's my recap. Laura thought we were going to talk about gratitude journaling and gratitude. She realized that she had more discomfort with the topic than she was comfortable with.
Mm-hmm.
So Keith tried to help bring her back to zero.
Yeah.
And then she meandered to talk about how she handles stress with things like breathing exercises, PQ reps, and sleep stories to help with insomnia. And now we're back to where do we go from here?
Welcome back to In Residence. I'm Keith.
And I'm Laura.
Hey, Laura.
Hey, Keith.
How you doing?
I'm doing good. How are you?
I'm okay.
Good.
Let's see what happens.
Okay. Never know with us.
Yeah. So what are we going to talk about today?
Oh, gosh. So I thought I had an idea of what I wanted to talk about. So I went to this weekend a workshop all on journaling.
Mm-hmm.
I've been reading Jon Acuff's book, All It Takes Is a Goal. It's got a big highlighter on the front. It's his new book that just came out.
It talks about best moments, right?
Exactly. What are your best moments? And so I thought, okay, so I think it might make a lot of sense to talk about journaling and specifically gratitude journaling, because your best moments, that's what Jon Acuff says. What are those small moments, those big moments, those experiences, those people that really you're thankful for? And then the workshop I was a part of about journaling and how to be a good journaler and just to journal talked about gratitude journaling and how do you know when you're doing gratitude journaling? How do you battle fake ass gratitude?
I love the verbiage they use in this group you're part of.
I love it.
Funny.
It's amazing.
It's an interesting contrast between because you kind of have your little group. You have your group.
Yeah, my ladies.
Yep, and where you're doing such similar work that I'm doing in like my space and in my groups.
Yeah,
and we talk about such similar things, but then I get to hear like the way they say stuff, and it's fun. I love it.
So the title so the whole area, so they engage with a lot of Jon Acuff stuff.
I love that, by the way.
Yeah, I do too. They're thick as thieves. But best moments list was in this workshop for me. But the title over it, it's not just the big shit. Yeah. And so, I mean, it's really talking about how do you be thankful, not just for the big momentous things, but the small things too. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about gratitude journaling because, and the reason why, so bear with me on this, but the reason why is it seems like it should be something that's a really easy concept. That you have things that you're grateful for, that you want to capture. It's a really great practice. It brings your energy up, right? But I really struggle with gratitude journaling. And it's not because I'm not grateful for things. I'm so happy and grateful for my life and my family and my experiences. But I find it like really a struggle. I end up just like basically doing like a bulleted list and it doesn't feel very meaningful to me. I don't know. Do you ever spend time doing journaling all around gratitude? Like just focus on that?
Not really. The only time I've really done it is part of like the 5-minute journal, I think, where it's like just 3 things, like list 3 things that you're grateful for. And so I get what you're saying, because for me, it's been So say I'm trying to cram that in, right? I'm trying to journal. I'm trying to do all the things, right? Like that we've talked about where I'm like, I want this practice, right? This daily practice where I journal and I get up and I get my morning walk in and I have a good breakfast and I, get my coffee and I do my writing, all this stuff. And so part of me doing that before was the 5-minute journal. I'm like, oh, that'll be a good way for me. It's supposed to be quick and a good way to form a habit. And I would end up writing like you, child 1, child 2. Those are the 3 things I'm grateful for. And so it wasn't.
Can't argue with that.
Right, exactly. And so I could dig a little deeper, right? And some days I would write all 3 of you on the same line. And I would write like trios of things because it got easier to think of more things the more I did it. But I do think there was room for me to maybe dig into it a little more and be a little more articulate, but also it doesn't need to be more than that possibly to me.
Maybe it doesn't. So John Acuff's book, the thing that I'm really interested in, and I haven't done this yet, but I want to, is really starting to dig in and making a best moments list. And so... Yeah,
I got to that part.
Did you get to that part?
But I haven't done it yet either. But I've been thinking of some things, like getting Paul Scheer in my face with a microphone asking me to answer a question that the audience was trying to respond to. That would be like a best moment. Like that's an experience, right?
Right.
And then I had some other ones like that came to mind before I did it. Like we met Elvis Costello a few times. Mm-hmm. We met Metallica at their book signing.
Did you know Metallica is coming back to US Bank Stadium?
No.
They're going to come back to US Bank Stadium.
Uh-oh. No, I guess I might have to go to this time.
Dun, dun, dun. Anyway.
Okay. So anyway, I did start thinking of some things, but I do want to sit down and make that list and then see where it breaks out. Because that was what was really interesting. I don't remember all the categories. I don't know if you do. There was like experiences, people, and
experiences, people, objects, and I'm forgetting achievements.
Yeah. And so
I think those are the 4.
I think that would be kind of telling, an interesting way of seeing myself that I haven't really thought of before. Of like, what do I actually give weight to? And I'm like, and I think he said, he's like, not so many objects for me. And I'm like, if you've seen my room, I have a lot of objects. Like totems and stuff. It'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see when I actually do the exercise. Anyway, I feel like I kind of interrupted. I
feel like you should put on like the little like in between music for about 5 minutes and have us do it and come back.
Yeah, just everybody take a 5-minute journal break here.
5-minute journal break. You make your list, we'll make ours. Just kidding. What's interesting is you're talking a lot about the experiences, is what you were sharing. Mm-hmm. And the things when I think about what are on my best moments list or greatest moments list, I think about spending time in the garden when the kids were little and, planting sunflowers.
That's an experience, right?
Or a relationship because it's with the kids.
Oh, is that one of the things? Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, people or whatever. That's what I called it. Okay, yeah. Or, I gotcha.
I will say one is, and I don't know what this would be, but that first cup of coffee during my morning routine.
The Royale.
Oh, the Royale.
That's what Brian Koppelman calls it. I got that mug that he released a mug for it too. Yeah.
I haven't called it the Royale.
I do.
But you do. But that, I think that first sip, the coffee, is just, there's just something about it. So good.
Are you calling that a relationship or an experience?
Both?
Yeah, there you go.
No, I don't know. Both.
Probably.
Yeah. Yes. When you think about things you're grateful for, are there small things that people may not even think about or think is enough? Do you ever have that thought of, I'm grateful for this, but maybe it's not something that's big enough or worthy enough to be grateful for? I don't know if I'm making sense.
Well, if you give some examples, possibly it might help me think. But again, we think differently.
True.
So I'm sure I notice things that I know I notice a lot of things, but then I just kind of let it go and like brush it aside and don't actually hold it. It's like when I'm always asking you, well, what do you like? Somebody asked me this question about myself. Like somebody's asking me to answer something about me, and I'll come to you and I'll be like, well, what should I say? It's because I'm like, there's something similar, I think, where I'm like, I don't know, like I'm just not used to talking about myself a lot, even though we're on a podcast, but so I'm sure there's like with that same thing, I feel like there's probably a layer of things that I notice, but I don't really notice it. So what are you thinking about, or like what made you think of that?
I'm just thinking about like a thing. I don't know. So if I'm journaling, so this morning I was journaling, and I ran across a quote that has started to resonate with me. And so it's from The Wizard of Oz. So the quote is, "You've always had the power, my dear. You've had it all along." It's by Glinda in The Wizard of Oz. That has been resonating with me because sometimes you forget when you're on your journey that you are on your path and that you have learned more, that you are further along, and you have everything you need to be successful. You just somewhat need to get out of your own way and believe in your own internal power to do what it is you want to do.
Yeah.
And achieve what it is you want to achieve. And anyway, so when I was thinking about things that I'm grateful for that maybe aren't big enough, I was really grateful. I was sitting there and I was journaling, and I decided I was going to start doodling. And I don't doodle that often, but sometimes I do. But I was really grateful that I had different color pens and highlighters nearby.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's so small, right?
Yeah, but it's enjoyable, right? It brings joy.
Yeah, it made me smile. I go, oh, I'm going to.
Like you and I find joy in things like a new set of pens because it makes the act of what we're doing, what we're using them for, more enjoyable for me anyway. I think gratitude and joy are pretty much connected.
Yeah. So one thing that John Acuff was saying is that he's grateful for, or one of his best moments list is, what was it? It's something about having like big shrimp. It's about anytime anybody has to cook with prawns, he's like super excited, and that's like one of his best moments.
Yeah, that's funny.
I was actually thinking, yeah, I like shrimp.
Yeah, you do.
So
I
good.
do too.
Prawns are even better.
That's how I spent our vacation in Mexico. I was on the hunt for every place. If they had a shrimp taco, I ordered the shrimp taco.
Yes, you did.
And that was a fun little treasure hunt. Luckily, they were everywhere for the most part.
I know, you were shrimp tacos. Child 1 was chicken strips everywhere, and child 2 was cheeseburgers everywhere.
Yep, definitely kids.
Yeah. Do you ever feel... I just feel so jaded on this topic, and I don't know why.
So you're feeling I feel like you're feeling a lot of pressure to get gratitude right.
Yes, that's it. Because what I was going to say, and then I felt very, maybe like I should not say it.
Self-conscious?
Yeah. Is you ever feel like you should be putting things on a list for gratitude, but with the caveat like, well, it should be on here.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I know. I think a lot of people understand where you're coming from. I think there's something too of it's not the same as, but it's like the opposite of like, well, what do I have to complain about?
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's not quite the same, but you know what I mean? Like that, there's like a similar or opposite feeling of, well, I'm doing all right. And so I wonder if it's like feeding into that part of us that will just weather any storm because we have to just do it. We have to get it done kind of thing. And then if we're showing gratitude, it's like a dissonance of, but I'm really not happy, but I do have to get it done. Or so I just feel like there's a dissonance happening there, and I'm not quite sure how to pinpoint it, but
yeah, I don't know. I maybe it might be a little different for me where I think you named it pretty well for me. I feel like it has to be a certain caliber and super specific so here's I don't know if I'm there yet, but so when kids are little, or when the boys were in like kindergarten and stuff.
Mm-hmm.
We'd make around this time of year, we'd make turkeys, right? You'd have their hand, you'd put it down, and then for each one of the fingers would be a feather or something like that. And you'd write something you're thankful for Thanksgiving, right? Gobble, gobble.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember, I think it was child 1. I could be wrong, but it was kind of like he just wrote, like, he said it straight. Like, he's thankful for food. He's thankful for games. He's thankful for his family. And he's thankful for Christmas. Wasn't it that?
Something like that, yeah.
I think it was, and I'm thankful for Christmas. But, it was one of those things where, it just like completely cut to the chase on that.
Mm.
Where sometimes I feel like that's too simple and too honest.
Yeah.
Why am I trying so hard to get it right?
Right. And it's so funny because you and I do that, but for different things.
Yeah.
Like you're doing it for something like gratitude or how do I do
I'm a really grateful person. That's why it kills me that I just let my mind get in my way. Anyway, sorry, I cut you off.
So do you do a daily or a weekly gratitude ever? Or is this just a new thing that you're like, oh, this would be a good exercise for me to start incorporating?
Yeah. I thought it would be a good thing to start incorporating. I do every day. So one of the prompts that I use does say, what are you grateful for today?
Mm-hmm. Just like I said, right?
Just
like,
what you said.
And I would usually say like my family.
Yep.
Sometimes I would say like music, books, and movies, like simple things. But I think just the exercise of just acknowledging something and not feeling like it had to be perfect. It's just, I'm going to do this and I have another chance of being thankful tomorrow or grateful or whatever. But
yeah.
And it's if it's feeling too simple, to me it was a signal to start paying more attention. Because kind of like what you were saying earlier, is like, are there like little things that you just kind of notice? And I'm like, I mean, maybe to me, like if I see like the sun shining in a certain way and casting a shadow, like on my walk, the sun was casting a shadow across fence posts, and the shadows lined up perfectly with where they marked on the pavement the spray paint line to where the post should go. Mm-hmm. And I just kind of stopped and I stood there and I looked at it and I'm like, how could they spray paint in a straight line that would line up with the way the sun would cast a shadow, and the fact that I would show up here at the certain time of day that happens and see it. And so to me, that felt like a little bit of like a gratitude or like a joy or like a little bit of awe. So I'd notice little things like that sometimes, but then I just kind of let it go. But like that one's kind of stayed with me.
Yeah, there are those moments. I find, what's interesting, what's coming to my mind is I think a lot about nature when I think of those moments, like the one you just described.
It's a little bit like, I think this is all connected, but it's like, it's a little bit of wonder and joy and thankfulness is similar to gratitude. So I think it's all something to take note of, and to even, you're saying like, oh, I'm going to journal about this. It's kind of a good way to hold yourself to noticing more. And I think it can be that simple, and it's okay. And you don't have to judge what you're noticing, but the fact that you're working on noticing more and noticing more positive things, it's probably really good for yourself to experience that.
Yeah, again, I mean, I think it raises your energy, your mood. Yeah. So I think the thing I'm thinking about is I thought this would be an easier thing to talk about than it is. And I'm not sure why, if I'm getting stuck in my own way, or, I mean, to be perfectly honest, maybe there's a part of me that, this is going to sound so bad, but I feel like I'm a really grateful person, and I know it in my core. So why do I need to do the exercise of writing it down? Does that make sense? It's weird though, because there's a resistance there.
Yeah.
But again, I love so much of what is my life and who's in my life and how we show up for each other.
Yeah.
So that's where I'm perplexed, maybe a little bit.
Does it just feel like a little self-indulgent because you're just grateful for what you already have, or why would you constantly write down things that you're like thankful for? Or
maybe, or maybe this is what it is. Maybe this is it. So the script that always runs in my head is that you have a lot on your plate. Your schedule is full. There's a lot going on. Blah, blah, blah. Sorry, you didn't need the blahs. And because of that, I am so grateful for everything people do, for the most part, in my life and in my work life. But I don't always have the brain space and wherewithal to officially send a thank you note, officially remember to send the email, or remember to send a thank you email or letter or card or a phone call when I'm in a place where I can actually do those things, right? I think of them when I'm driving. I think of them in the shower, like times when I don't have the means or the ability to. And I think I'm letting myself off the hook a little bit because I know that there's always time in your day where you can peel back, time you're spending on social, time you're spending puzzling or whatever it is. And perhaps spending time reminding myself of why I'm grateful for things in my life. Maybe you're right. Maybe I feel a little like it's self-indulgent because what I should be doing is what I genuinely want to do, but don't have or haven't made. It's a better way to say it. Haven't made the space or dedicated time to let others know how thankful I am. So why would I spend time journaling on gratitude for me when I can't show up for others and do that? I feel like I should do that before I pat myself on like, you should be thankful for this. I'm going down a rabbit hole.
No. Here we go.
All right.
Settle down. So I've talked about this before, and I think you agree. You need to take care of yourself so you can take care of others. And if you don't take care of yourself, you're not going to have the capacity to take care of others. And so thinking about gratitude for your situation, if that's filling your cup, keep doing it. And on the other hand, if you feel like you're lacking and you're seeking to share gratitude, start doing it. And there's no right way. Like, only you know what's going to feel right. And I know you'll be like, oh, I should have said that differently, or da-da-da. It's like, whatever. And I mean, that's the morning journaling. That's for me to talk about what I'm grateful for. And then once a week on Thursdays is a time where a lot of people in Purple Space are sharing their gratitude for others and thanking them. And so it's about the same thing, but it's a different practice, right?
It's almost kind of a digital reminder to take that gratitude and focus it outward.
And I don't do it every single Thursday because it is a little daunting, but it's another way of showing up for people. And
right.
But so maybe if you're not feeling it, it's like, well, how can you show up for yourself so that you have the energy to show up for others? Like it's okay. Like,
right.
Maybe this week you needed to take a warm bath for an hour and, take care of you, pamper yourself. And then maybe tomorrow you're like rejuvenated and you're like, okay, I'm going to send this to that person, or,
Yeah.
But there is a distinction between gratitude for what you have and then showing gratitude for what others are generously showing up and providing for you. That I didn't quite realize that until you started
spinning.
Yeah.
A thankful spin.
But I think there is something where you want to do them both right.
I do. Well,
and if it feels hard, then it's okay to just take a breath and be like, okay, I'll think about that tomorrow. Or
maybe I just start with a turkey. Put my hand on my journaling page and just come up with 5 simple words for me.
So for me, it's easy to think of, what am I grateful for? What am I thankful for? It might take me a few minutes one day, like when you're first starting. But the harder thing for me is showing that gratitude to others, or it used to be. Now it's a little more, it's what I've decided to do is I'm here to show up, and it gets easier the more you practice showing up for others to show gratitude. But we're dynamic people and things change. And, like you said, like, I don't know. Well, did you say that? Like, you're busy. You have a lot going on, and you think of things in the shower or in the car and in opportune times.
I think the other thing, and maybe I don't want, and this isn't necessarily because I can call BS on myself. So if I have fake gratitude in my journal, I can be like, you're really not grateful for, I'm trying to think what.
Why would you ever write down fake gratitude?
Because you feel like you should be thankful for it.
In your own journal?
I don't know. Sometimes you're just posturing for yourself. Aren't you? Do you ever do that? Do you show up 100% authentic all the time to yourself in written word?
Honestly, that's what I think journaling is for.
I do too.
So, yeah, we don't need to get into this authentic talk again.
Or genuine, or whatever term, whatever synonym.
My journaling is where I show up authentically, and that's not for anybody else. Now, I don't know why I would... I understand what you're saying, but I wouldn't write down things I'm not grateful for to like trick myself into thinking I'm being grateful. That's a bridge too far for me.
So the reason why I'm asking, okay, so maybe we don't hide from ourselves entirely in journaling and things we're grateful for.
Oh, I'm sure. No, but I'm sure I do. I know I hide from myself sometimes.
Intentionally.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, sometimes you have to like tell yourself like, okay, this is what we're doing.
You need to hold yourself accountable.
Right. Or aspire and,
Yeah.
Anyway, I think maybe one thing, and this is me being a little vulnerable, is when it comes to showing gratitude officially. And so this is with like my leadership hat on, because I genuinely do feel so grateful and thankful for everything everyone's willing to do, how they're willing to show up, how they're going above and beyond, how they're just working so hard and doing great work. I've been at institutions where thank yous from the leader meant nothing because those thank yous were the exact same thank you from the year before for the exact same event, and they were just copy and pasted, right? Or a leader was so mean during a process and so condescending and shaming you and not being supportive at all, and then throwing a little thank you party. You're like, I don't want your apology popcorn. And so I don't know, I'm sounding really jaded right now, and I'm not a jaded person, but I feel like there is this, I don't like fake gratitude. So maybe I'm holding myself back because I don't want, here comes the people pleaser, right? Or I care what people think, but I don't want people to think that I'm just copying and pasting and using AI to do these thank you notes, and there's no meaning or generosity behind my gratitude. What is wrong with me?
You're a people pleaser, and you need to remember that you cannot control how other people react.
Gosh, that's a hard one. I don't know if I'll ever be able to get over that.
Right. Like, it's out of your control how people determine your intent, right?
Right.
You decide how you're going to show up. Other people get to decide how they interpret how you show up.
Okay, so I know you've listened to this, and I'm going to talk about work again, because today we had a meeting, and somebody brought kind of a reflection. So we do a reading or a little lesson or engagement, but the reflection today was Brene Brown about I think it's Dare to Lead.
Okay.
It was after her first TED Talk.
Okay.
And it was a TED Talk on basically everyone is showing up to, I don't know if it's judge you, but basically to tell you whatever it is they want to think. It was interesting because she said after I was famous after the TED Talk, right? She basically said, I spent my entire life trying to be small so people didn't notice me.
Mm-hmm.
And my husband and my therapist, I think it was therapist, said, do not read the comments. And she's like, so naturally I read the comments.
Yep.
And the comments were all about how her body looked.
Yep. I remember her.
Right? All these different things.
This,
And what was fascinating at the end of that, just to get to the point of what made me think of it, at the end of it, she said, the rule is if you're going to be in the arena, you're going to get the shit kicked out of you. Then she also said, if those that are making comments and giving you feedback aren't in the arena too, I don't care what you think.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you're not in here doing the work and getting the you know what kicked out of you, your comments and feedback are not worth my time.
Mm-hmm.
That might be a little strong, but you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. So are you, after hearing that, are you going to take that and integrate it into how you go about your day, realizing that nobody but you is in the position that you're in?
Yeah, I say about 95% of my day, I can do that. And then there's 5% where it's the imposter, right? Coming in and be like, no, hold on.
So
not so fast.
So this is maybe, I was thinking this earlier, like maybe that's what the practice of gratitude is about, is another way of getting you back to zero, right? That idea, remember when we were listening to Stephen Tobolowsky a lot, his podcast?
Oh gosh, I love that.
Tobolowsky Files, great stories. But he's got one where he's talking about, because he's an actor, and how an actor needs to get back to zero to reshoot a scene. And so that's how I think about, if I'm energized or I'm depleted, and then that combines with like Seth's Icarus deception, right? Like don't fly too high, but don't fly too low, right? We always hear about the don't fly too high or you'll get burned, but we forget about, well, if you hold yourself down too far, you're going to drown, right? And so I'm always thinking of, it's a balancing act, right? Like, because you're going to have highs, you're going to have lows, and you're going to have to learn how to shift and balance. And it's an active practice. And that more balanced zero to me is where I want to spend more of my time in the middle of my demeanor and how I am when I'm getting input, so that I can have more time to react to if it's elevating me or if it's depleting me. And so I'm thinking that part of like a practice of gratitude is a way to bring you back to something and kind of reset and realize, like, so say you're feeling down, realizing that you're grateful for something might lift you up. So I don't know. Yeah,
it's almost, I like that idea of kind of bringing you back to zero.
Yeah.
One podcast I listen to calls it home base, where you're not too in overdrive and you're not too just kind of lethargic.
Especially like, say you leave a meeting where you got elevated, let's say, or the discussion was a little heated because big things are happening and big decisions are needing to be made. And then you're going to another meeting where other people they don't know where you're coming from. Like, how do you reset and recalibrate, right? And they're like, you've done a lot of work with that and helped me realize, like, oh, how do I reset? Like, how do I show up? Because it's really not only is it helping you, but it's showing up for other people the way that they deserve you to show up. And I think this practices are all intertwined.
There are some really quick things. I know we're talking about gratitude, but I use a lot of different techniques maybe if I'm trying to keep myself calm and bring myself back to kind of a centered place. And just for anybody because sometimes I can get a little anxious. People don't believe me when I say that.
Right. That's because you're probably standing next to me.
Well,
and then everybody looks like a koala bear next to me. Just like, I'm chill.
But what I will say, that stress doesn't just exist at work. For a lot of people, stress can happen in the holidays because you're interacting with people that you love or people that are part of your family that you may even feel like you just have to be with it. Everybody has a different family situation, and I'm not judging that. I'm just trying to witness the variety. situations that may be happening over the holidays. And so some of the things that I've been doing for work, or if I'm going into a stressful social situation, it's not even just family, but even like a friend's social situation, potentially could be really helpful for folks. And so just a couple of things that I do. So maybe I'll share that.
Yeah.
So doing box breathing, if anyone's heard of box breathing, where you breathe in for so many seconds, you hold it, and then you breathe out for so many seconds. So it's like breathe in for 4 seconds, hold for 4 seconds, breathe out for 4 seconds.
Yeah.
If you do 3 of those, you bring down the level of intensity you're feeling pretty quickly. The other thing that I've learned, and this is something that someone I've worked with in my executive leadership role has taught me, is called PQ reps. I don't remember what PQ stands for, but there's a whole book and there's a whole website and things like that.
Not sponsored.
Again, not sponsored.
Maybe we'll find a link or something though.
Yeah.
Okay.
I just want to share the goods.
Yeah.
Right? The
Yeah.
good things that I know. So PQ reps really help you focus on trying to bring your focus back to a central point. So I think oftentimes when you're talking about meditation, we're talking about how do you train your brain that's always possibly moving and thinking about different things. How do you keep saying, you know what? I get that. Now set that aside. It's there, but focus back in. So what PQ reps do is they use either a touch, sound, or sight to really tune into something that helps you be more present. So the one I really like to do, and you can do this in meetings, you can do this really wherever if you're stressed out, is taking your pinky finger and your thumb and rubbing them together in a very slow way so you can feel every single part of your fingerprint.
Like the ridges
of your fingers
rubbing against
each other and just breathing in and out. That especially because the one thing I like about PQ reps that I think is powerful is with meditation, oftentimes you need to step away, close your eyes, get in a position where you're upright and breathe. And it's more noticeable, right? It doesn't have to be.
Right.
But more often than not, if you're meditating, you are more removing yourself and setting up your environment.
It's more visible to other people.
Correct.
Whereas that's probably not what you're looking for, is
Right.
drawing attention to yourself, right?
Yeah. Because if you're in the meeting, like when I'm at a meeting with a whole bunch of different leaders and something is just like, whew, like really overwhelming me, either from a frustration standpoint or from an anxiety standpoint, just doing a couple PQ reps to bring myself back to home base, bring myself back to zero.
And you can do that like under the table, right?
Yeah, you
Like
can do it under
I
the
think
table.
you told me that. You're like, it's so comforting that something I can do that's not drawing attention.
So I would absolutely, if you're somebody that needs a tool of how to center yourself amongst other people,
Yeah.
I mean, and I think this could work at a family gathering or something too, right? If you're stressed out or you're like, I can't believe they're saying that again. Instead of focusing on that, being able to really bring yourself centered could be helpful.
Yeah.
The other thing, and maybe this is the last thing. Well, I have 2, maybe more.
Okay.
Is that okay? Can I do 2 more?
Sure.
Okay.
It's our show.
So the next one is called tapping. And so this is what I learned as part of a group. And tapping is where, and you can look it up on YouTube or anything like that, but it's really taking your finger and tapping on the back of your arm, on your wrist. If you, I know a lot of people, I'm not cool enough like Keith to have tattoos on my arms. Like Keith, you could like, if I'm looking at your arm, you could be like, oh, I'm going to tap my lighthouse there. Or the Northern Lights. I'm going to tap the Northern Lights.
That's way up there.
Way up there.
That would draw attention.
There you go. That would draw attention. The point is you can like put your hand on you and just like gently tap. So people don't even need to know that you're tapping.
Right.
But again, it's bringing your focus back to a central place. So you're able to take yourself out of the emotional moment and try and recenter yourself in real time.
Mm.
So I think tapping is really interesting. And then the last one that I'm going to share, and this one's maybe more, if you've done the tapping, you've done the PQ and you're like, bah, and you're just still like really elevated is maybe what I'll say, because we all get there, right? Where you are just on edge a little bit, anxious. I know anxiety is real. I know that's something that I've worked through, right? And continue to work with.
You're processing everything at a high level, right?
Right.
That's
exactly
kind of how I get.
Yeah.
Everything, even though it may not seem loud to other people, feels loud to me.
Right.
It's like the way I interpret things sometimes.
Yeah. So the one thing that I've learned is that you can just put your hand on your heart and take a deep breath in and a deep breath out. It seems silly, maybe, and then just say, I am safe. I am safe. I found that really grounds me, especially when I'm in when I have high levels of cortisol going. If I'm walking into a meeting that I have to speak to a couple hundred people, or I'm walking into a meeting where I know that I'm going to have to take a different viewpoint and have to disagree with someone and say it in a way that isn't rude, but clear. And so I will do that. I mean, you can do it in a bathroom stall, a car, your office, any of those things.
That's really interesting. That the hand on the heart, because somebody commented to me that they've seen me do that on Zoom calls.
Really?
And I do it when somebody says something that resonates with me, and it's usually like me acknowledging like, oh, that really touched me. I feel that, and I don't realize I do it until somebody noticed it and said something about it, and I do it more often than I think, and I've noticed I do it like at concerts. When I'm really feeling,
yeah, you do.
I
noticed that you did at the LP show.
So I realize I do it, but I don't. It's like I'm not doing it on purpose. It's just like, and so there's an interesting connection there where I think I can maybe tap into that. If I'm feeling stressed or anxious, I can tap into that physical. What do they call it? Like somatic. I'm hearing that a lot. It's just a way of like getting more in tune and in touch with like a grounding of yourself, right? And so it's really interesting that you brought that up, because I really didn't notice I did it so much as somebody noticed it, but it was a signal to them that I was present and that I was acknowledging. It's just I don't always do it with words, but anyway.
Yeah. No, but I think the one thing that does is it connects your body with your mind, because you're thinking, right?
Yeah.
But then I also think it's like body, mind, and soul.
Yeah.
Right?
It's like an acknowledgement.
It's how do you align them all?
Yeah. You're like acknowledging like all that's happening. And yeah.
Yeah. So when we started, I thought we were going to talk about gratitude journaling.
Yeah.
But I feel like what we talked about was more powerful and maybe helpful.
I hope so.
But I do think that gratitude is really important.
Oh, yeah.
I will say I struggle writing about it. I want to do better at gratitude.
Yeah.
I want to get an A+ in gratitude.
That's what it sounded like. I want a gratitude better.
I want a gratitude better. No, but the thing is, I feel like so much of my gratitude is stuck in my head.
Yeah.
That I want to be more present. And there's part of me that I think I'm realizing in our conversation, and I know we haven't talked super deep about gratitude, but I think that I'm overthinking it.
Yeah.
And when I was working through our gratitude camp, or not gratitude, it was a journal camp, but we talked about gratitude journaling. We talked a lot about being honest with what we are thankful for, not faking it, right? Like not having fake gratitude, which seems silly, but I can see how that transpires because it's, everyone's trying to have the gratitude somewhat they think they should, like #blessed, right?
Yeah.
I do think I'm #blessed. I think a lot of people do.
Mhm.
But I also think there's a lot of like keeping up with the Joneses with some of it.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Exactly that. Like some of it's a little performative.
Yeah, it can be.
Yeah.
Right? And then you don't feel like you are enough either.
Yep.
Because you don't have the gratitude and the blessings other people have, but you do.
Yeah, comparison comes in, right?
Yeah.
So that's kind of you're supposed to be thinking of how are you thankful, how are you grateful, and then comparison kind of comes in, right? So
yeah.
Or it can come in.
It can.
Yeah.
And so I feel like as we've been talking, the thing I've been thinking about is wouldn't it be beautiful if you were able to, or you just simply journaled, included gratitude in that. You didn't pressure yourself to make it be something that you thought it ought to be.
Mm-hmm.
That you made it something simple and pure, and that you made space for it to be uniquely you, right?
Yeah.
Something free of pretenses, free of comparison, something that truly was acknowledged to help feed your soul. And at the end of the day, helped reduce your stress too.
Yeah.
Helps remind you of what's really important, right?
Yeah. I mean, I think that is one of the best things you can do to help reduce that stress or bring yourself back to like an even 0 point of realizing, whatever may be stressing me out, that's that, but this is what I'm truly grateful for, and a good way to return to 0.
Yeah.
Or to help you return to 0.
Yeah. So maybe a challenge for the group, right? And maybe some of you are really great at expressing gratitude or gratitude journaling, but the one thing I'm committed to is trying to identify 4 simple things that I'm grateful for.
There you go.
4 things that would fit on like a hand-drawn turkey.
I like that.
So, I mean, if you're compelled to share, leave something in the comments. And if not, that's okay. You can keep it to yourself and keep it for you because it doesn't have to be for the world to witness. It's still really powerful if you create for just you.
Yeah, do it for yourself. It means a lot, and it's vulnerable and generous to share that gratitude with another, and it would make a huge difference for the person that you reach out to. So if that feels safe for you, go ahead and do it.
All right, Keith. So typically we talk about a recommendation or something that we have been consuming, something we've read, listened to, or just generally been engaging with. And so do you have anything that you'd like to share?
Yeah, do whatever you have to do to take care of yourself so that you can show up for some other people too, hopefully. What about you, Laura? What do you got?
Gosh, I don't know if I can beat that. I love that.
I'm too heady. I'm just
It's not heady, it's sentimental. It's amazing.
I'm saying it for myself. I'm not trying to prescribe anything. I'm saying like these are the things that I need to remember that I can focus on for me and for those that I care about. So give us some good tangible things.
All right. So I do have a couple tangible things. Now, the first one is I'm reading a book called The Afterlife of Billy Fingers, How My Bad Boy Brother Proved to Me There's Life After Death by Annie Kagan. And so this was recommended by our friend Karen. Shout out to Karen. Thank you so much for recommending this.
Yeah.
I love how it's written. I'm only just starting it. I'm a few chapters in, but I'm really, really liking it. And other thing I want to recommend. So we talked about stress today, and we talked about how to breathe and gratitude, all really important. But if it's manage stress or find some joy when you have a lot on your plate. And so one thing I do, I don't think is a surprise here, but I love to puzzle. And I've been finding a lot of people that I know love to puzzle too. Just so you're aware. Did you know that there are puzzle competitions where you put a team together, you have a puzzle, everybody has the same puzzle in the middle of the table, it's covered in like wrapping paper or something, You tear it out and you see who can build it the fastest.
Didn't I show you a video of that like a year and a half ago?
Maybe, but I didn't know it until somebody else told me.
Of course.
Right.
Because we're married.
That's how it goes.
Doesn't mean anything until one of your friends says it.
But I have been thinking about my puzzle dream team. Sorry, this is a complete aside.
Yes.
I think my puzzle dream team is me, obviously. Not humble at all.
Such a big head.
I know. I'm a really good puzzler.
Yeah, you are.
Probably your mom,
Mm-hmm.
right?
She would definitely organize pieces.
She would, and I'd get them in.
Yep.
I think Erin.
Yeah.
Erin would rock it.
Yep.
And probably my sister.
Okay. Yeah. She just sent you a picture of a puzzle, right?
She did. She knocked out 1,000 pieces in a day. Like,
oof.
Go, Jenny, go. Okay. Back to the recommendation, or at least something that I am looking forward to doing. So I've been doing about a puzzle or two a week just because like I said, it's been a little heavy at work. So I just finished a puzzle called Mammals with Mohawks. Super fun, lots of fun colors, love the puzzle. And the thing that, if you haven't discovered this, if you like to puzzle, the puzzles that are done by Puzzle Twist are amazing. So if you haven't discovered Puzzle Twist yet, it's a company, it's out of Minneapolis, Minnesota, just across the river from where we are. And they do puzzles that on the box, it's one picture, but then they mix it up when you actually build it. So for those of you who like to follow the picture or the poster with a puzzle, this is not your jam. For those of you that are willing to go a little bit, take a walk on the wild side of puzzling? Is that even can that even be considered a thing? You're snorting.
That sounds like a different podcast that you can start. The wild side of puzzling.
Honestly, though, I probably would. I love puzzles so much. Okay. The puzzle that I got is called Winter Gnomes. And so the picture that's on the box, it's not going to be the puzzle that I actually build. But I'm really excited to dig into this.
Nice.
Yeah.
Cool.
I really geeked out about puzzles.
Yes, you did. Should we wrap it up?
I think so.
All right. Thanks, everybody.
See you next time.
All right, bye.
Bye. So I thought it might be interesting to talk about gratitude. Talked about it for a good hour.
No, it was like maybe 20 to 30 minutes tops with a lot of hemming and hawing and pauses. And
so maybe the struggle bus that I was bringing to the party made it feel like an hour.
Yeah, because at about the 30-minute mark, it turned into you talking about the stress that you're experiencing and the pressures and insomnia, having bad sleep. And I'm like, we're really, really trying to force talking about gratitude here. And what I'm hearing is that you're feeling some stress and some pressure. And I'm like, so maybe we need to take a pause and like recalibrate a little bit here and let's talk about, what you're actually feeling and thinking about.
Yeah. Sometimes when you're in it, you have to have some strategies to work through it in the moment.